Hello, and welcome to another episode of Desh or Diaspora. The title for this episode is Would You Trade Religion to Know Your True Identity? Have you ever asked yourself why you were planted in India or America or wherever it is that you were born? Doesn't matter where you live now. So you call yourself a Hindu. But for the accident of birth and geography, if you were born in Russia, you might have been an atheist. You call yourself a Muslim? If you were born in America, you might be following Christianity. You call yourself a Christian? If you were born in Iran, you would probably have been a Muslim. You call yourself a Sikh? If you were born in Israel, you might have been an Orthodox Jew. The idea for this episode actually came from a paradigm shifting article I read in Harper's Bazaar magazine by Methangi Subramanian, the author of A People's History of Heaven and Dear Mrs. Naidu, which won the South Asia Book Award. Bear with me as I read some extracts from Methangi's article. She writes, I consider myself Indian but not Hindu. My choice was made easier knowing, after 6 years in India, Hinduism was no longer necessary for me to connect with the country that I love. I am particularly aware of this as I raise my daughter, who comes from a caste that Brahmin patriarchy has robbed of financial resources and social capital for generations. In our house, being Indian is about reading picture books about Dalit hero Bhimrao Ambedkar or written by Adivasi author Memang Dai. But when my daughter talks about her Indian identity, Hinduism is secondary, not central. Methangi's journey is absolutely fascinating. Note, she says, I consider myself Indian, but not Hindu. And that's a quote. What an amazing conviction and change of thinking. Like Methangi, I'm a Tamilian. From my dad's side, I'm not a Hindu, but still we share something beyond our common Indian origin. Methangi's journey helped her separate her Hindu identity from her Indian identity. My spiritual journey has taken me out of religion entirely into an understanding that knowing my Creator is a far more crucial undertaking than hanging on to my religion, to any religion. If you are wondering what led Methangi to separate her religious and ethnic identity, just listen to her explanation. I quote, at a time when India's right-wing politicians are trying to define India as a Hindu nation, and when America's right-wing politicians are deeply invested in Islamophobia, it is more urgent than ever for members of the diaspora to separate our religions and ethnic identities. There are so many ways to be Indian without reinforcing the caste hierarchies that marginalize Dalits and Adivasis in India, in the States, and around the world. Methangi goes on to write, my family's decision to separate our Hindu identity from our Indian identity doesn't erase the generations of caste privilege that my husband and I have benefited from, or the oppression that my her daughter's adopted, that my daughter's birth family faced for not identifying as Hindu or Brahmin. But it feels like a start that I hope my fellow Indian Americans will consider as well. We all have the right to believe anything we want, but sadly, not everything we believe in a way that's right, especially when it comes to matters of religion. Why do we make such a big deal about our religions? Where does such hatred and suspicion come from that is so evident in countries like India, Iran, Iraq, Israel, Ireland, Lebanon, etc.? We need to ponder on the fact that we have succumbed too easily to dogmatic claims that our religion has an exclusive monopoly on the truth. Os Guinness, one of my favorite authors, says, I quote, either we conform our desires to the truth or we conform the truth to our desires. You and I could easily have followed another belief system that perhaps we denigrate or we are wary of, but for the fact that God singled us out. He individually assigned every one of us to a specific family in a particular part of the world. If you believe in God, you know that He planted you where He did for a reason. Maybe you haven't figured it out. To hate another human being for being planted wherever he is planted or she is planted does not make any sense at all. A genuine spiritual journey of understanding is not just a quick trip to a popular pilgrimage place. It is an undertaking few people attempt, but it is the shortest pilgrimage we can make from the mind to the heart. Maithangi Subramanian basically woke up to the tension between something real in what she believed and something wrong in what she saw happening in India, and she did something about it. Do we have the guts to learn from her? We cannot go back and change the beginning, but we can start where we are and change the ending. Carl Jung, the Swiss psychiatrist, said, and I'll close with this, thinking is difficult. That's why most people judge. Thank you for watching. I'll see you again next week.